Well, it's a pleasure and a privilege to welcome Michigan State University Interim President Teresa K. Woodruff back to MSU today.
Thank you, Russ. So glad to be here with you.
I'm guessing it's a little bit bittersweet. I mean, just reflect a little bit on what you refer to as this heavy moment for our institution. You probably didn't see this coming even a few weeks ago leading this place, and I know you held the president in high regard. Just talk a little bit about this moment and the president's legacy.
Well, you're absolutely right. This is not something that I sought and, right up until the last minute didn't expect in many ways. And so, that is something that I think is true for all of us. There have been a series of abrupt changes, and those are part of the MSU of the recent past as well. So I also appreciate that for many within Spartan Nation, this seems like something that, while it's not jarring, has a little bit of familiarity to it. But what I really want to reassure everyone is that we really are writing a new chapter. And that is, I coined a word on Monday, actually, Russ. I don't know if you know this, but I've had a couple of words that I coined. So this one I call stagility. Where we're moving to now is really a time, I hope, of stability, stabilizing the core of the institution, but still being agile, being able to work ahead. And I think, that agility and stability is enabled by what President Stanley has done and, providing with all of us a living strategic plan that, we've talked about before, really is enabling to campus. And I think we will now have the opportunity to go out and live out some of the student success areas, really thinking about the campus as a wonderful home and place to work, which was really essential to President Stanley. We have an inspiring faculty and academic staff, and I think they'll be able to do their good work as we move forward. And my hope is that as we move into this new era, we'll also be able to maintain our health, the health of others, the health of the planet, and all the while, as we've talked about, to open the door as wide as possible to the broadest community possible. And so, this is part of the university strategic plan. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that we had two others. So part of President Stanley's legacy is extraordinary to have built 3 strategic plans for this institution: the relationship violence and sexual misconduct, and then another really fulsome plan led by Jabbar Bennett in the diversity, equity, inclusion plan. As remarkable as all of this is to have created this foundation for the future, he also led us through the first several years of course, the COVID pandemic, and his training in infectious diseases was critical. And I mean, none of us could have foreseen that would have been as timely as that was. And that was particularly true prior to, it's hard to even think back, but prior to the therapeutics or vaccines that are really part of our arsenals today. So the most salient part, I guess I should say, or as I think through it, of the work led by President Stanley is really, it's not his plan. And he would say that to all of us. And I think he has said that many occasions. It's not the Stanley plan. It is the strategic vision of the campus and of the campus and its future. And so I know that as we live out our shared plan, and that really this was the product of a visionary and principled leader, and we are so grateful for what he did and in enabling our ability to move forward.
Stagility, I love it. So
stagility. Let's see if it trends. Let's see if it actually goes.
Hashtag stagility. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
So, and why did you want this assignment?
Well, that's a good question. Well, part of it is that the university asked me to be part of the pathway forward. So it really was an ask to help lead in this time. And I guess when I came to campus 2 years ago, and Russ, I think you did the first interview with me when I accepted this role, maybe a minute after that time too. So we go way back. But I think, what I said at that time 2 years ago was that I talked about wanting to be a transformative leader in a time of transition, and that I also saw excellence and abundance at this institution, from our game theory and design to medical research and neuroscience and Alzheimer's disease, or our work in entrepreneurship and innovation, or of course, what I've come to just love, our storied and extraordinary FRIB. All of that is part of the fundamentals that of MSU that are unchanged. And I also knew then and now that policy and practice need to be aligned in order for folks to do their best work. And so, of course, while we all are imperfect, this is a campus of extraordinarily principled and ethical people, from our faculty to our staff. But because we all have awareness of our own fallibility, we continue to work toward a more perfect and just way that we relate to each other. And so leadership opportunities abound. I think people are called to leadership moments. And so that is really what buoys me in the everyday. And I guess I should, today I got an email. I've been getting tons of emails, Russ. Lots of folks are emailing in. And there was one of our alums actually passed along a story that she's been going around the nation with a new book. And she was at a university, and she related to me that, in fact, that university is using all of the protocols that Michigan State University developed over the last few years in the relationship violence area to manage those. And so, it's really wonderful to hear the respect that other universities have for MSU. And of course, this work is led by Becky Campbell and Andrea Mumford, and really is enabling through that RVSM strategic plan. So we're walking through kind of a period of time where there have been questions about what's happening in this arena, but we have just extraordinary leaders doing principled work. We're doing the kind of nation-leading work in an area that is difficult. Nobody gets this right. Not universities, not corporations, but we're all on a pathway. And as kind of this testimonial that I just gave you provided, we're really leading in this area as well. And so I'm really pleased to come in and provide my own leadership together with a lot of other folks that are on this journey, and together we'll move Michigan State forward.
And you've been talking about it all along, but what do you want Spartan Nation to know as your presidency begins, and what are some of your immediate priorities?
Yeah, that's a good question too. So I guess today on day 2, I remain honored and humbled to be in this role. And I can say I was honored and humbled to be in the provost role. And I think I will serve this institution to the best of my capabilities. So I guess I want people to know that I'm just honored to have been adopted into Spartan Nation, and I feel like I'm really, really a part of the family, as does my husband Tom O'Halloran. And we've been meeting all the folks here in the president's office: Mike Zeig, Amanda Gall, Jessalyn Nelson, Meredith Chesney, and others that I know the president has talked about it as well. Students in the front office. We really have an exceptional team of leaders that are here. And I think that should give everybody confidence. Everybody in Spartan Nation needs to know that the president's office is stable and agile. We have the right people in the right place, and I'm looking forward to working with them. I guess I mentioned Tom. The second thing I'd want everybody to know is my husband, Tom. I don't know if folks have met him, but he has also felt very welcomed as part of the Spartan Nation. He's a chemist, and he's in our Department of Chemistry and also in microbiology and molecular genetics. And we've both been just awed at the intersection of his work across this whole campus. And that's what we really love about the scope of what you can do at a Michigan State University. And the students in his classes, and the students that we get to talk to. I was just out by Hannah on Friday, and there was a group just kind of bending down out by the Red Cedar. Our students are just extraordinary. And I really want Spartan Nation, maybe to answer your question more directly, I want Spartan Nation to hold up each of these students, each faculty, each academic staff who have made student success a priority, really keep them in their thoughts and their educational purposes and passions. I think that's what Mark Largent always talks about, and to really help them live out their promise as they go through their transformative MSU education. And third, I really want Spartan Nation and the world to know just how extraordinary our entire staff are, those who really enable this living, learning campus environment, who keep our buildings in excellent shape, who support grant submissions, and who create the context in which this academic success is possible. So those are our fundamentals, the people who make this university great, and the fundamentals remain excellent. And those are really where I think what I'd love for Spartan Nation to know.
And you talk in your note about culture, community, and communication that you'll emphasize, and your focus on building trust, affirming transparency, and advancing strategic initiatives. Just talk more about those 3 C's.
Yeah, so I think culture, community, and communication. I really want to be out and about, introducing myself, listening, hearing, really communicating in ways that is bi-directional so that I can really be part of the everyday of this campus. And I think as much as we communicate, we can build the community. There have been some of the parts of the fabric that have been pulled apart. Some of the threads are a little threadbare, and we want to knit that back together and really come together around community and then culture. There's a special way in which everyone within the Michigan State environment really loves this organization. Last week, a lot of people were telling me, hang in there. This week, everybody's telling me they bleed green. And so, that I think is, it really says that this is an essentiality to them. And so I think in order to really communicate effectively, to build that community and leave the institution in a culture that feels stable and supported and enabled to do their best work, we have to really focus on building trust. I think we want people to know that we are trusted partners on both sides. We need to really make sure folks know how they can trust is by having information. And, there are places where we're not able to give all the fulsomeness of every little thing we do. But if you can trust me, you can say, I'm okay with the way she thinks. I'm okay with with what wisdom she brings to the problem. I'm okay with the fact that the things that land on the president's desk are those things that are intractable. If they could have been solved, they would have been solved by someone before they get to her desk. So if in fact we can develop a trusting relationship, then I think I am committed to providing as much information as I can, to gathering as much evidence from as many sources as I can, and then acting in the best and most principled way on behalf of the university. And if people can believe in that, then I think we're going to be able to advance our strategic initiatives. We have to have those fundamentals right in order to then develop those strategic plans that we talked about before. Right. So I guess that's the way I'm thinking about it right now, Russ.
Well, Interim President Woodruff, thank you for coming on and letting Spartan Nation hear from you as your leadership begins, and just summarize some takeaways and what you mean when you say you're all in for MSU.
I'm all in for MSU. Yeah. So really planning today for tomorrow's future, we all have to be in. We all have to be part of the solution. We all have to be on board. We don't have time for people to fall prey to cynicism. And I can understand how that may happen, but we got to be all in for MSU. This is an exciting time. We're on an upward trajectory, and don't be on the sidelines. We're really moving. So that's all in for MSU. Maybe that's another hashtag all in for MSU. We've just done 2, Russ. That's pretty good. I love it. Podcast.
I love it. Well, Teresa, congratulations again. Thank you for coming on, and you're welcome back here anytime you want to use us to get your messages out.
Thank you, Russ. Really appreciate it. Appreciate you.
That's Michigan State University's interim president, Teresa K. Woodruff. Keep up with her at president.msu.edu and follow along on Instagram at MSU_pres, PRES. And I'm Russ White. This is MSU Today.